Welcome to Black and the Black Times Infinity. This is a special S-Class interview. I'm your host, Prodigy, Cthulhu's Prodigy, rather. We have Salima Koroma and Jaeki Cho from Bad Rap, the film that is coming out on iTunes May the 23rd. Alongside me, we have Bunnyman, Old Ninja Blue, and Kronos. How are y'all doing, fam?
I'm doing good.
Oh, them.
Yeah, them.
Oh, sorry.
Us. Oh, we're doing great.
Oh, it's us. Yeah, we're doing.
Yeah, it was kind of an awkward entry.
I fucked it up. I'm sorry.
We're doing great though. Like, yeah, I'm chomping on a beef patty right now.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'm just here with my head wrap on. I don't even have any pants on, so I'm really glad to be talking to you guys.
This is a great podcast.
Yeah, right.
Ladies got no pants on.
Yeah.
Well, there's six dudes.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's this show going, guys?
Yeah, I know, right? We're not on X Hamster, are we?
Oh, God damn it.
Let's get back on the subject.
Get back on stuff. We're here to talk about Bad Rap, goddammit. This wonderful documentary that we've all seen and enjoyed thoroughly. This is about Asian American hip hop artists.
Yes, and this like totally blew my mind when I was watching it. I never actually knew that there was an Asian hip hop culture out there until I watched this documentary. And
Whoa.
it was great.
Wow.
Well, we kind of knew because we did some reacts to like Dumbfounded stuff, and then some other artists that were
Jay Park
Korean.
as well.
They weren't Asian American, but they were.
Oh, yeah.
Asian
We did
artists.
both, too.
Yeah.
In your words, can you describe this film and what it's really all about?
Jaeki, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So Bad Rap is about Asian American hip hop artists, more specifically 4 characters of Dumbfounded, Aquafina, Lyrics, and Rex Dizzy. There are 4 friends, all active artists, but all in different stages of their careers. So we basically highlight these 4 characters about their stories, but also kind of use them to anchor a story about Asian Americans in hip hop. And some of the questions that we ask is about Asian American portrayal in media, male and female, why there hasn't been a successful Asian American rap artist, and what is the current state of just Asian American identity in America and in media as a whole.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add, Salima?
No, I mean, when we started the movie, I was doing it I had started it for my thesis at Columbia. So
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know that there were any real Asian rappers. If I asked, for me and my friends, if we asked ourselves which Asian rappers that we knew, everybody would say Jin. That's off top. Everybody would say Jin, and then after that, there was a significant drop off, right? So, when I actually got on the phone with Jaeki for the first time because he'd written an article in XXL with G-Dragon. I don't know if you guys know who G-Dragon is, but he's a Korean pop artist, one of the biggest. And I reached out to Jaeki, and we just had a really great conversation where Jaeki was schooling me on Asian rappers that I'd never even had heard of or knew existed. So it was a very big learning experience for me. And, in the film, it's not just the 4 characters, it's also the context. So we do talk about Jin. We do talk about, some old battle rapping stuff. We do talk about, the stuff in the media, the Breakfast at Tiffany's and that stuff. So we sort of tie everything together.
Yeah, it was a really great documentary. It was interesting to see like the hopes that were on, I'm not going to say who, but a certain person in the movie. How like everybody was trying to look up to him so he can lead the way. And to me, I mean, he still hasn't hit mainstream status, which is a shame because I really enjoy his music. The first time I heard any of his stuff was the Harambe song, and I thought that song was hilarious. And I went back and started buying like his catalog, and he's legit. And I don't know why he can't get on the radio or anything. It's really weird to me how there seems to be like that gap. If you're not African American or even nowadays sometimes white, and you're a rapper, it's way easier. But if you're any other ethnicity, they're like, it's kind of like you're a joke, and they try to say that you're appropriating culture, but it's American culture. I don't see nobody in fucking Africa rapping, you know what I mean? So I don't understand why people always get that cultural appropriation thing just for something that's it's American made.
Right. I mean, Jake, I don't know if you want to speak on that, but I understand it though, right? Because we go sometimes we screen the film And every once in a while, we'll get somebody who raises their hand and brings up this question of appropriation, right? And there's some people who will bring it up more strongly than others, because at the end of the day, you know, hip hop is rooted in Black culture. It started from Black and Latino culture, right? And so that acknowledgement, I think, definitely has to be there. But this is, you know, one of the themes of the film is this feeling of being American, and it still is American, and it is this feeling of wanting to belong, right? So, like, yes, I agree, but I can understand when somebody would say, hey, wait, but this is ours, don't try to take our thing.
Bunnyman, get on in here.
I mean, I have other questions probably further down the line or whatever, but well, I guess the one question is why hasn't there been an Asian American artist that has broken through yet?
That's a good one. JK, you want to?
Yeah. I feel like it's a culmination of a lot of reasons. One, I feel like, you know, some of the artists themselves in the film could attest or even imply that, you know, maybe there just hasn't been has yet to be a extremely talented Asian American artist. Another possible reason could be Asian Americans consist of a very small population in America. You know, it's less than 5%, and I feel like that market isn't as vast, and because essentially, like, people, not all the time, but people tend to resonate more with other artists, especially when it comes down to a form of music like rap, which is really in your face, to somebody that kind of looks like you know, or somebody that speaks about your experience. So I feel like that might be another reason. And yeah, and then last but not least, I also feel like it has something to do with the Asian American community as a whole. I feel like we are an immigrant group that really just kind of started to settle in America in like the late 60s with different type of immigration acts that kind of changed. So our history in America is still very it's relatively short compared to other minority groups. So I feel like just as a group of people, we have still yet to discover ourselves in this weird place called America. So I feel like entertainment, which is kind of like a luxury, they are still trying to like figure out how to fully adapt and fully embrace that side, which kind of leads. Do I still have everybody's attention?
You sure do, man. We listening, fam. We nodding our heads.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, like, and I feel like the recent phenomenon of Psy to some of the other younger artists, like Rich Chigga or before him Keith Ape. Some, you know, a lot. Every time we do a Q&A after a screening, they always ask us like, "Yo, what about those guys?" You know. Well, those guys are like in a different instance because those are Korean rappers or Korean musicians from, not necessarily Rich Chigga. He's from Malaysia or Singapore. I always get mixed up. But those are Asian artists from Asia that are kind of doing this weird hybrid of American and Asian style music. And I feel like the reason why the U.S. audience, or at least a younger U.S. audience that are very web savvy, has gravitated towards that is not necessarily because they feel like a sense of pride or a sense of connection. I mean, I'm sure some of the more Asian fans relate with that, but I think it has a lot to do with exoticism. The fact that these are like very different looking, different sounding artists coming in to America or like doing something online, and they find it exotic. And also like the proliferation of the web, I feel like allowed younger people in general to embrace different type of identity more freely. Because when Salima and I are both like late 80s babies, like we were kind of, you know, we were born in the late 80s. So we're like the last generation that understand like the VHS culture and like, the LimeWire Kazaa culture and like the social media culture. So but there's this whole new breed of kids like growing up that were born in like the mid to late 90s. Like these kids only know social media. They don't know an era when there wasn't social media. So they have like grown up seeing Asian people doing cool shit, whereas like when we were younger, like it was only such small portals that allowed us to have different types of identities. So I feel like because they're more, and as a result of that, they're more accepting. They are more embracing of like different types of culture because the advent of social media and the internet.
But you know what? Just your answer is more broad. I think practically, if we're talking just very practically, a lot of gatekeepers in the industry are just not aware. They're not Asian American. They don't see. You know, most people gravitate towards what looks like them. So if a lot of gatekeepers are white or black or Latino, they're just going to be more attracted to those kinds. To the people who reflect them. So I think having Asian Americans behind the scenes who can vouch for certain rappers, but they got to be good rappers. They can't just be trash rappers, right?
Right. I mean that's another point that we always also. Sorry to cut you. Sorry. Go ahead.
So it's just that vouching for some of these artists is absolutely necessary. If you watch the film, you'll see the industry insiders, they couldn't name one Asian American artist.
I love that scene.
Yeah.
Right. So if that is what it is, then it's not malicious. It's more that they're just not aware. And I think that once they become aware, and then there's this group of great Asian rappers, not whack Asian rappers, but great Asian rappers, then I think we're getting there. I think that it's almost there because, like Jaeki said, the visibility.
Yeah, and also, I mean, Salima's point is also something that we address in a lot of the panels and Q&A sessions that we have. Like, I totally agree. I mean, as a person who has worked in the hip-hop industry, like, if I didn't work at a media platform like XXL or Complex, like, we wouldn't, I don't think a certain portion of the population would have known about G-Dragon or Dumbfounded or any of Asian or Asian American artists in general, because like I was a writer that was aware of those type of things. I felt that it was necessary to put those type of artists on, or at least introduce those type of artists to a different type of audience. And she's Salima's 100% correct, because if like I'm a black guy from Brooklyn and like there's a kid that is bubbling from Brooklyn who also happens to have a similar experience or identity as I do, I would most likely gravitate towards that artist over like a Korean American kid from K-Town, LA. You see what I mean? So yeah, it's totally like you need more people behind the scenes to kind of control and navigate the culture in order for your story to be told.
Gotcha. Blue, get in here. Go ahead.
So, cool question. You mentioned like social media, and do you feel that social media such as YouTube, iTunes, anybody can like, kind of upload a video to like Vimeo or whatever? Do you feel like that's making a change in the hip hop culture regarding like a Korean rapper getting their art out there so everybody can check it out?
Totally, 1000%. I mean, even K-pop, which Salima is pretty much an expert in,
Sure.
like, and I don't mean that in a derogatory term at all. Like, she actually, she runs a K-pop blog, and and most of like this whole new group of fans that are non-Koreans or Asians, or even if they are Asians, like K-pop fans really came from YouTube. Like labels have figured out like, okay, like if we post this video, like a kid in Malaysia to a girl from California could watch it simultaneously as the Korean market. And I feel like rap or Asian Americans that do hip hop or Asians that do hip hop, they basically just utilize the same method. And proliferation of social media and online has tremendously helped independent artists of all genres, race, and creed, but especially for Asian Americans or Koreans more specifically, it has helped a lot, because the Japanese market, like, they still are not really friendly with social media. Like, it's a weird place where people still buy CDs, and like Chinese market, they obviously don't, they firewall everything. So like they're not really trying to like go outside. They really want to keep all their money inside. Korea being such a small country with very limited natural resources, in order for them to compete, they just always have to go outside. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like that's why they were able to embrace social media a lot and YouTube a lot, and that kind of just trickled down to all artistry of all forms.
Yeah, it's been great for us because we do reaction videos. And we get suggestions from our audience about all these other, either whether it be Asian, pop culture or Brazil or whatever. It's been pretty cool because we get to meet all these, or at least listen to all these artists that otherwise we wouldn't really know about.
And they're awesome too. They're blowing our minds how good they are.
And now we're getting like the reverse. Like Salima, have you heard of Coco Avenue?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So we had them on.
Two black girls. Oh, did you guys talk to them?
Yeah, we interviewed them.
I remember when they first came out, like this was a couple of years ago. They did a bunch of like Jay Park covers.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, okay, this is kind of cool. Let's see what happens. And now that they've sort of blown up, and this is what happens a lot of times when I guess you call American acts try to go into K-pop. It's something that the international fans have always craved, but once it happens, they're just like, I don't know if I actually do love this, because K-pop means K-pop. It doesn't mean black girls. It doesn't mean white people. The K in the K-pop is the most important thing, right? So Coco Avenue right now, they're dope, and I know they're getting a lot of pushback from some people who are the sort of K-pop purists, which is sort of interesting because we also have the hip hop purists out here.
Holy shit! I just looked these girls up. They're a bunch of black girls doing K-pop.
Yeah. And that's what's funny about it is that people will complain about them doing K-pop stuff, but it's like, but you understand that K-pop is basically kind of ripping off of like '90s culture from like hip hop.
Right.
So it's like actually, you can't complain.
No, this is incredible. Like I had no idea this group existed.
They're amazing. And they're based out in LA, and what's interesting is that they don't speak Korean 100%. Like they had a roommate that taught them how to speak Korean. That's how they got into the whole K-pop movement.
Yeah, so they'll do their songs in Korean.
Yeah.
Right.
I got a quick question.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually watch our interview with them.
Yeah.
A few months ago.
We'll send it to you, fam. Okay, there was something in Bad Rap that blew my goddamn mind, and that was it Rec that had the mustard and ketchup USA video with the twerking? Goddamn it, that was fabulous. I loved everything about it, and I loved the fact that you included the dialogue between and his manager about that.
Great.
Can you speak about what that meant for you guys as filmmakers and producers, and why you included that in this wonderful documentary?
Well,
Salima, that's all you.
I'll tell you guys what happened. The manager, by the way, is Jaeki. That's Jaeki.
Oh, that's you! God damn it, I'm sorry.
That's the only.
I was gonna say, because I was like, man, that dude sounds black as hell.
Let's do it.
So it's funny because in the film there's a scene where Rex Dizzy and Jaeki, Rex Dizzy was Jaeki's artist at the time. They're talking about a music video that they want to shoot, and Rex Dizzy's artistic mind, he wants to have girls shaking their asses and then him squirting ketchup and mustard and all sorts of condiments on their asses, right?
God bless America.
Right. God bless America. So as they were coming, I don't know what they invited me to. It was like I don't know if it was like a photo shoot or something. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go over. I go over, and he and Jaeki are arguing, right? And this is the scene that you see in the film. And as they're arguing, I'm like, should I take my camera out or what should I do? And I'm just standing there not wanting to be rude. And as they're arguing, Rex Dizzy stops in the middle of arguing, and he goes, are you going to catch this or not? And then I go, okay, yeah. And I grab the camera, and then they start arguing. And so, they decided that this was the project that they were going to do. When we got to that day, there were supposed to be a lot of girls there. They had a bunch of different girls that were supposed to come. The only girls who showed up were the two black girls. And so I'm watching everything unfold, and as a filmmaker, you're just supposed to be in the background. You're not supposed to really say anything. You're just a fly on the wall. But the whole time I'm thinking, the optics of this is not good. And so at the end of the day, they're putting the stuff away. I go down into, sort of the basement to pack up all the stuff, and Jaeki are sitting on the couch, and they just look so somber. I don't know if they just had an argument or what happened. And so as I'm packing up, Jaeki goes, so what do you think about what just happened today? And I go, well, since you're asking me, I think that it's going to look bad. And this is why. And I explained that, you can't really just have two black, Asian guys squirting condiments on black girls. And from there, I turned the camera on and I left it alone. And I sort of walked away as they started having this conversation. It literally lasted like 7 minutes.
Damn.
And then it comes in and then everybody starts talking. And I just let the camera roll. And so that's how that happened. And I'm actually really glad that we put it in too, because it just said so much. And when people watch that scene, there's half of the people say, oh no, Rexizzy was totally wrong for that. And then half of the people will say, oh, I totally get his artistic desire. And like, we totally applaud that. That's, artistic fearlessness, right? So it's like, I thought that was cool because it brings up discussion. There are people that are super uncomfortable with it and are super like tripped up by it, like it.
I thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was great too, but
I understand both sides.
I do, yeah, I totally understand both, because Jaeki brings up some very valid points, especially when he talks about the white girl being in the video and how nothing happens to her, but she's all up on Rexizzy, but then the two black girls are getting squirted on. So he brings up some very
Mustard and ketchup squirted on.
Yeah. But still very valid points, because I think Rex was talking about his artistic view, but Jaeki was like, this sends out a very clear visual message that you need to be aware of. And I think that's the point that they were kind of like locking about, is about artistic vision versus...
The point, one of the points was when you are an Asian rapper, those are the considerations that you have to make, right? Young Thug could do that video and everybody, maybe there'd be some think pieces about it, but let an Asian person do that and it's a totally different discussion. Mm-hmm. So with somebody like Rexizzy, who has this weird mind of what he wants to do, he feels like that is limiting for him. So I think that was also one of the things that scene was trying to show.
Right. And just to kind of add on to what Salima was saying, in Rex head, he was pushing the boundaries. And me, during that time, when I had my manager cap on, I was trying to protect my artists or protect whatever work that we were putting in without getting this is kind of ironic, without getting a bad rap.
I see what you did there.
So, so that was pretty much where my head was. And, because in the editing room, I'm not going to lie, because I was still managing Rec at the time and I was kind of working as a producer also for Bad Rap. I was having these internal debates because do we include this in the film or do we not? Because I could have really just went conflict of interest and just tell Salima no. I'm not saying that you would have allowed it, but I could have argued with you about it, or at least try to attempt to, right? But I don't recall me saying anything about that, or maybe I did, I'm not sure, but because I felt me coming from a journalistic background, I was like, okay, this is actually going to be a very juicy and an integral part of the film that we can't take out.
You can't have Bad Rap without that scene, man.
Yeah. As an Asian,
but if my artist looks like an idiot, or I might look like an asshole, okay, it's fine.
he does look like an idiot.
So.
Yeah, but you know what, Jaeki, you actually ended up coming out the cool guy in the scene, and everybody's like, oh yeah, that guy's done.
Yeah, and then I'm kind of like a low-key sexist when I'm talking shit about Aquafina with them.
That's funny.
Yeah, multiple. That's one thing about this film that I feel like Salima can agree with, is just that we have a lot of our flaws and insecurities in the film. You know what I mean? This is not like a promo film of Dumbfounded. You see some of Dumb's ugliest sides in this film. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Jealousy and insecurity and all of that. And I feel like that pretty much is one of the reasons why a lot of people luckily has said great things about the project.
Bunnyman, get in here.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, as an Asian, that scene had me really conflicted because it seemed kind of fake, I just didn't picture him doing that on the weekend. To to me, like being a fan of hip hop, it's like if you do that like in your off time when the video's not rolling, then why not? But it, obviously, it was for the image or whatever. And then I was like, you know what? Somebody's got to break the barrier and break some taboos and just go for it. And
Yeah,
but, you know,
maybe.
but it just made me think though, like, which is like, what is the identity? And you kind of touched on it earlier. Is like, what is the identity of Asian American rappers? It seems like there's no like image that I think the general populace can really like get behind yet. You know, like Dumb is like respected as a battle rapper, but like even the scene with Drake there talking about him, it's like clear that Drake's not also trying to give him a record deal. Like he's just, right? You know, he's like, oh, you're a great battle rapper. I watch your YouTube videos. See you later. You know, like, so
Hit the quarter.
you know, and so I could see Dumb kind of fighting with that too. Is like, man, I could be really great at this, but I'm not getting this other type of recognition. And I've kind of seen his, you know, as a fan of him, I've seen him experiment with different styles, you know, from being that indie funny rapper to more trap-ish or whatever. So what do you guys think in terms of where we are in terms of who has like the best opportunity to break? Yeah.
Jaeki, you want to answer that? I mean,
I still stand behind all the artists in our film and great opportunities to break the barrier of becoming a mainstream success. But I do understand what you are saying. In terms of like an Asian American rap identity that mainstream America could stand behind, I think it's a very complicated question. I actually raised this question at a panel that I hosted yesterday, and I feel like it's really I feel like whenever people, I feel like it's still going to take a long time, but when people start embracing the fact that Asian American is essentially just American and take out the Asian prefix, that's when people are going to, that's when an American rapper with an East Asian face is going to really get embraced. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
If that makes sense, you know what I mean?
I'm sorry to interrupt real quick. Are you guys okay on time?
oh yeah, no, we're fine.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah,
Keep going then.
still
Please
have
continue.
about good 20 minutes. Yeah.
Cool.
Regarding your the second question about like who do you think has that type of mainstream potential, in terms of like just purely musically speaking, I honestly don't know, because like, you know, the music market shifts constantly, and in this current age there are like these SoundCloud rappers that are cool for like 6-7 months and just kind of gets on these huge charts and just kind of disappear the next year, you know? So it's shifting so quickly that it's really hard to predict, and you can't really just constantly adapt to a new sound, you know what I mean? Like, you obviously can't be old and tired and just stick with the same formula, but it's also hard to just consistently adapt. So I don't know about the musical part, but in terms of being a multifaceted entertainer, Awkwafina, who is in the film, when we first started making the Bad Rap project, she still wasn't she just kind of had like one or two viral hits, and she was like really adored in this weird hipster blog Brooklyn community. But now, out of the 4 characters, she definitely has the most notoriety or the most fame, you know, because she's actually an Hollywood actress. So she was able to utilize music as, of course, it's her passion, but also as a platform for her to gain other opportunities that is beyond music, where it obviously has much more monetary benefits than music. So, you know, I feel like Awkwafina is definitely a contender to be a mainstream success. I think skill-wise, Dumb is very proficient and he's very well-rounded as an entertainer. I could see him being like an Asian rap Jamie Foxx, you know what I mean?
I like that.
You know,
Multi-talented.
That's kind of like, that's kind of how I see Dumb. And Rick, another character in the film, like, he actually did have like a viral success, you know, doing this real traditional style boom bap rap music with his partner JL as a group called Year of the Ox, and I think those guys are probably going to stay in this real niche hip hop boom bap lane, which is also very profitable.
Okay.
You know, so I feel like that's his lane, and yeah, like it's really hard to say, but that's kind of how I see it.
I got a quick question. So, you know, there's two black guys here in Bunnyman. My question. So, watching the documentary, it wasn't until the rap battle between Dumbfounded and I can't remember the guy's name, but
The meme guy.
yeah, the meme guy, and it was interesting because during the whole entire thing, I didn't really pay attention. I mean, I tried to pay attention as much as I could, but it wasn't until he started using the N-word I was like, you know what? I don't think they used the N-word at all in the beginning of the documentary up until that point. Is that true? Is the N-word used in the are any of the Korean rappers using the N-word? And if it's not, like, was that on purpose? Did you keep that out intentionally?
Go ahead.
Great question. No, I never. That was never something that's in the music. Not that I've heard. So the soundtrack to the entire film was, for the most part, was Asian rappers. That wasn't something that I heard. Yeah, probably the first time you hear the N-word was from Conceited.
Yes, Conceited. That's who it was.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, the usage of the N-word is really interesting. And obviously, being that the N-word is still probably the most loaded word in the English vocabulary, that being, you know, Asian Americans, we are very, I'm not saying all of us are, because it is a word that is, you know, you could commonly hear it in a predominantly Asian immigrant neighborhoods, freely amongst Asian Americans of a certain age group.
That was not something that was ever in the music, but I heard it while I was shooting, for sure.
Okay.
If that's the question that we're asking, yeah, absolutely. I heard it in some places. Some places I did not, but let's say in Virginia, I definitely did hear it a lot.
Yeah.
But that was the only place that I really heard it. And then also, you know, what happens when I'm not around? You know what I mean? So I definitely think that some people feel more comfortable than others to use it, and some just don't at all. Because actually, it's something that I talked to Rex Dizzy and Decipher, who are also in the film, who's also in the film. We talked about this, and their whole thing is, we will never use it. That's not something that we even want to touch or go near. We don't even care. And rappers that we do hear use it, or Asians that we do hear say it, we got to check them. So I think that there is that, you know, a sort of group that thinks that it's okay.
Well, it's an interesting problem because, you know, as an African American, like, I keep hearing that, we can use it because we're taking the power back. Well, I'm like, no, you haven't taken that power back from shit, because if somebody other than a black guy calls you the N-word, where's the power at now? You want to put the power in their face, you know what I mean? So it's like, it doesn't help when other ethnicities see that, and they're like, well, it's okay for them to say it, but why can't I? But it's like, I don't think it's acceptable really for anybody to say it. That's my own personal view, but I understand that people still use it. But going back to the battle rap, I thought that was really interesting, because Conceited, basically his whole thing on that battle rap was talking about how Asian Dumb was. And when Dumb came back with his, I don't think he even mentioned that Conceited was black at all. He just talked about how he was short, which he was.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a fucked up double standard that, you know, Conceited can sit there and trash him about being Asian, but, you know, Dumb can't do the same thing to him because he's black. I was like, that's pretty fucked up.
Well, it's also great too because, like, Dumb had mentioned how, like, back when he was battle rapping, like, back in the day, like 5 years ago, that people were still making fun of him being Asian, which was funny because still 5 years later, he's still getting the same, like, style of rapping, battling done to him.
Yeah, I felt that Dumb knew that people were going to be doing that, and that's what they're going to focus on, but he tries to flip it on them, and he talks about their character, not about their race or ethnicity. Anything that you bring to the rap battle, things that you say, he kind of throws it back at him, and I felt like everybody knew that about him, and they were like...
I mean, so, like, that's kind of like being an Asian or even a white rapper in the battle rap community. Like, I feel like I'm not the biggest battle rap head, but it is something that you have to deal with, because essentially, like, hip hop is still predominantly a black culture. So, you know, like, this is, you know, Jin, all throughout his battle rap career, it is something that he had to deal with. And the fact that you are able to overcome that without going there with the race jokes, it proves you further that you are talented at what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
one thing that Dumbfounded always says is like, if I were going against me, I'd use the same Asian jokes because battle rappers look for anything. Like battle rappers look for anything, and there's almost no. I mean, there is a low. You can go really, really low, and there is a limit. But like, you're battling, and this is what Dumb will say. So not only does he expect it, but he suspects that if he was a black rapper or a white rapper, he would use the same jokes. And in fact, he has gone up against Asian
like Hispanic dudes,
right? No, another Asian battle rapper named back in the day. And he used a lot of Asian jokes against him too. So I think it's almost the obvious thing. I think Dumb is more concerned that they're the same jokes. That he wants them to be more clever and more thought out. If you're going to use an Asian joke, make it good.
There you go. I got something. Sure. One of the other themes that I thought was incredibly impressive in this film, with Mother's Day coming up, the role of parents in some of these rappers' lives was huge.
Especially lyrics.
Especially lyrics. And even, was it Wreck that also had mom in there? Or
Dumbfounded Mom was in there.
Dumbfounded Mom was definitely in there. Can you talk about the decision to include mothers and parents specifically in this film, and how that dynamic worked out for you as a filmmaker?
That's a great question, because the first quote unquote character that I met was Rex Stizzy. And so I did a few sort of sit down interviews with him, just getting to know him. And when I sort of got him to trust me a little bit more, I asked him if I could sit down with his mother or with one of his parents. And he said, absolutely not. And I said, why? And he said, because my mom doesn't know I'm a rapper. Right? It's going to be really hard to get these people's parents on camera talking about this. And so, I was able to talk to Dumbfounded's mother, and Dumbfounded's mom is actually just really cool with whatever Dumb is doing. He even talks about it in the film. He, was able to do anything that he wanted. His parents weren't around that much. They were latchkey kids. So he was sort of able to do whatever he wanted. Lyrics, people tend to really relate to Lyrics' portion with his mother, because it's really a mother wanting a child to succeed, but this child wanting to pursue his passions. And a lot of us can relate to that. A lot of us can relate, especially children of immigrant parents. I'm one of them, whose parents came to this country for us to have a bigger sort of, life, a better life. And to choose rapping, especially coming from an Asian household where, the genre of hip hop and rap is just so not, why, it's just everything against what they came here for. So, I think a lot of people resonated with that because they go through those same things with their parents.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see Lyric's own internal struggle over his Christian values versus his rap persona. Like him trying to, walk that fine line, but he didn't know whether or not he wanted to be like a true Christian rapper or just, go back to the old style of rap. And I thought that was really cool to really highlight that portion of his life. And the fact that he went and still was like working for his parents, like helping them out, I was like, damn, that's a struggle. Yeah.
I think we got time for maybe one more if you guys are okay with that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so this movie kind of reminded me a little bit of Hoop Dreams.
Oh shit, Hoop Dreams.
Yeah, it's a classic one. Just because you're getting intimate in the lives of these people who have these dreams, and whether you're Asian or whatever nationality, it's a really hard dream to accomplish. It's a long journey, and so I was just curious, I've been a fan of Dumb for a while, and then seeing him progress and then seeing him not blow up made me kind of curious, if you try your hardest and maybe it's just not your time. I'm not saying that's him, but I'm just saying, my philosophy on Asian Americans in entertainment is we just haven't had a lot of generations of them, we haven't had 6 generations of Asian American theater kids trying to become movie stars and stuff, and and I feel like it does take a little time to break through. So where do you think like this cast is in terms of like later on, like 10, 20 years from now? Where do you think their place is going to be in history for, you know, Asian American rappers or whatever?
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to say, but I feel like Dumb and Aquafina, they've already broken barriers. They've already claimed a seat in Asian American history, just as in general. So I feel like, I mean, hopefully they continuously thrive in fields of acting or entertainment moving forward, and just continuously inspire younger kids to kind of pursue the craft, because you know, like when I was like, I don't know, like 12, 11, the only person that was on television that even got closest to like getting any sort of fame doing rap or hip hop or any sort of like subculture was Jin. And he unfortunately couldn't take it to the promised land. You know what I mean? He couldn't take us to the promised land. So, you know, like I hope Dumb, Aquafina, or any other character in the film, or any other character or any other artist that's not in the film, could take us there maybe in this current generation when, you know, all of us are still active. But if that doesn't happen, you know, hopefully in the next generation. And by success, like it's real, like subjective, right? I mean, but I feel like that mainstream recognition, whether it's if you essentially, if you think about it, it's real, like, I don't know, is it even important? But like getting on that Grammy or going on that Oscar, accepting an award and making that speech, and, you know, being in a place where you could kind of openly check people, like when the Grammys did the joke on the kids, like it was kind of like discussed, but it wasn't real. Yeah, I mean, not the Grammys, the Oscars. It was kind of discussed, but it wasn't really properly addressed to the degree that it should have. So I feel like when we get to that stage, I feel like it is a real level of success when you actually have a voice to kind of just really openly check people.
Do you think Asians are too soft? I feel like they need to come out harder from the
I don't think we're
how
soft.
they respond.
It's just that we just have different values, and like I said, because our, you know, like one of you guys said, because we do have like a shorter history in America. This isn't our land, or we don't consider it as our homeland yet. Maybe in my generation or the generation after me might claim that, but our parents' generation, they still consider this as like a land that they are foreign to. So they're not going to claim it as like, because they don't feel that way, because they feel like they're still guests, and having Trump in the White House doesn't make it any better. You know, they are not going to go out of their way to try to fight for something or claim something.
That's true.
This is awesome.
Hold on, one last point I forgot. I want to put it earlier in the podcast, but I thought it was really cool that you guys went over the fact that there's no like real Asian like archetype in America. Like you don't see like a strong Asian character. I think I talked about it before in the past. David Cho coined this phrase called "Fear of the Yellow Man," and it's still today, where you don't have like, basically you just get like a personality of a weak Asian guy in every movie. Even the Kung Fu guy is usually silent. You know what I mean? You never see an Asian guy like having a sex scene with anybody else other than an Asian girl. You know, and it's really fucking weird. And I think that people are starting to wake up, and I think that this documentary is going to highlight that and bring it even further to the forefront. So,
you
thank
need
you
more
for
booties
showing
with
that.
condiments.
Mustard and ketchup, y'all.
We need variety.
Some
though.
relish on that next time.
Some chopped onions.
Some sauerkraut in that booty crack.
What were you saying?
Just to sort of cap it off, is that like if there was a time, you know, for this visibility, this is it. Like one of the greatest things about being able to control your own image is, you know, at this time you can experiment with different things. You know, you can do like, you know, Lil Yachty, for example, has these weird music videos that I respect because they're so weird and experimental, right? Right? And so like, I feel like this is we're at a time where we can we can experiment with weird shit, and like if this doesn't work, maybe this works, you know. And before it was like, okay, we got to get the marketing just right. We only have one try to do this, and the fear is that one try is going to cost a lot of money and it's not going to work. Now there's more than one try, so I think that this is the perfect time for it.
Man, we could go all day. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Where can we find y'all on social media, and again, promote where folks can watch this wonderful film, Bad Rap?
Jaeki?
Please follow Bad Rap. It's Bad Rap Film, BADRAP Film. It's the same throughout all social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram. We are most active on Instagram and Facebook. We're not as active on Twitter, but everything is Bad Rap Film. Even the website is badrapfilm.com. We have a bunch of merchandise that is available. It helps us a lot, so if you guys could definitely spread the word. And last but not least, the film is available on iTunes on May 23rd. The pre-order link is up right now. So please enjoy it. And individually, Salima, you want to shout out your social media handle?
Twitter, Instagram, Lima Cake, Lima Cake, everywhere. So find me.
And mine is just real straight, simple. Is just my government name, JaekiCho, Jaeki Cho, for social media all over the place, Twitter, Instagram.
This has been fucking fabulous, man.
For real.
We love it.
Thanks, guys, for having us. This was really fun, guys.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
And when y'all in the SF Bay, y'all got to come through to the studio and something.
Yeah, take you guys to the playground.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Playground's
We would love to. Thanks, guys.
That's
Right
actually
on.
a bar and restaurant, not a.
Yeah, it's a karaoke
place.
bar.
Karaoke bar.
Okay.
I thought that's what I call my grinder profile. Sorry. Anyway, thank y'all. We love it. Have fun, fam.
Guys.
Have a good day, guys.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.